All right. I think it's 10 a.m. and we should be able to get started now. I hope everyone can hear and see us okay. Um, so thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for sitting through some of the troubleshooting in the start. We both also run a planetarium, so we were just down there troubleshooting some things as we were waiting. So hopefully everyone can see and hear everything all right. You should have access to the Q&A if not, and I am keeping my email open. So if there's any last minute panic, I can't hear the video, I can't see something, I will be responsive throughout this webinar. So please just let me know. Okay. So other than that, I want to welcome everyone to the fifth annual Maine STEM Film Festival. This is a webinar where we will be celebrating all of the teams that participated this year, but as well as all the teams that are being honored with awards. So I'm going to let Cassidy take over for the first part of this to kind of run through the introduction, and Cassidy will let me know when she needs slides advanced as well.
Everybody, I want to first start off by saying fantastic work, every single one of you. I know how much effort this took, how much time this took, how much energy it takes to learn something new and then make it something that you can teach others about. So I want you to feel very accomplished and very proud of what you have done. I have some really cool data about this year's Maine STEM Film Challenge. We have competitors from Yarmouth, Cumberland, Livermore, Searsport, China, Fayette, and Handon. And if we drove from our Portland campus to every single town in order where a team came from, the road trip would take 3 hours and 59 minutes. Now, Maine is a huge state, and I know that that does not seem very big for you, but where I am from, that is a huge range of people coming together because they have something to teach everybody. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. The topics that were covered this year as well are computer science, space science, bioluminescence, physics, general ecology, and human biology. So we have a lot of subjects, a lot of people who are passionate about very different colors and flavors of science, which is always wonderful to see. The Maine STEM Film Challenge is our first unique offering since becoming STEM outreach from being Maine Robotics, and it started in 2021. So this is the fifth year. And I know that I am speaking to a couple of people for whom this is not the first year that they have competed. And so I wanted to thank our first timers, and I also wanted to thank special thanks to our competitors who keep coming back for this competition. And with that, I would like to acknowledge every single one of the competitors, those who placed or not. And again, thank you so much for taking part in this, whether it be for a class, whether it be for an extracurricular project. Thank you for the time that it took for you to compete in this competition. We are going to move on to our division awards. We're just going to review the divisions and how we came up with the scores that contributed to who is going to win this year. So the divisions that competed this year are kindergarten through third grade, fourth grade through fifth grade, sixth grade through eighth grade, and ninth grade through 12th grade. We scored on a rubric and we went through every single video and we considered what the videos were like for the people who made them as well. So by a general standard, but also I would like to point out that everyone did compete above and beyond for their grade level. And I am so impressed with the research that you all did because it was not just research that was appropriate for your grade. It was passionate, mature research that you did. So what we will do is we are going to announce in order. We will show the second place and the first place. However, if a category did not have any videos that ended up qualifying for second place, we will just move on to the first place.
All right. And so right before we jump into those video awards, thank you, Cassidy, for introducing the system. I do want to say a couple things too. So this competition has been around since 2021. This has been our first competition that's brand new for us since we've joined the University of Southern Maine. And we've had teams across the state that have submitted films in various different STEM topics. And so going back to 2021, definitely feel free to check out previous winners and topics that they have explored in past seasons. This season was also our first time doing an extended season. So this was a season that started in the fall and concluded in the spring. So hopefully that gave teams a little bit more time to do research, construct their films, and give us the wonderful videos that we'll be seeing today. So the flow of today, this will be, since we're doing it remotely, it will be a little bit shorter than previous years, but that means we're getting to the good stuff faster, I sure hope. So in a moment, we'll be watching and celebrating films that have been submitted by our participants. We will not be watching every film that was submitted. I really wish we could, but I know we all have lots of things to do, and that would be a very long film. I would watch it, and I hope you would watch it too. But in this film festival, we are watching the films that have won awards. So in this competition, divisions qualify for at least a first place award. And when there are enough submissions, they also qualify for a second place award. Outside of that, we also have non-division awards that celebrate other aspects that aren't necessarily reflected directly on the rubric, but they were successful in other ways too. Those non-division awards celebrate content, so the story writing and research that went into the films. They celebrate the artistic vision of the film, so whether that is the way that they drew animations on their film, the way that they presented other visual aspects of their film. Two other awards, we also have awards specifically for efforts to address accessibility in filmmaking. So these films are considered multimedia productions. And so what we can do with accessibility is reach folks who may not be able to absorb our content through one means or another. So there's efforts to make it accessible to folks of all different abilities. And then finally, we also have the Inclusivity Award, which are films that made an effort to address different audiences and break down barriers in communication. And there's lots of different ways to do this. And we view that primarily are films that tried to break down language barriers, cultural barriers, or films that did a great job of taking advanced subjects and breaking them down into films that anyone could understand with any type of knowledge or familiarity with the field. So those are the 4 awards that we will be handing out today. Not every award got awarded this round, but we are pleased to say that 3 of the non-division awards will be handed out today. Okay, so the flow of what's going to be happening next is we will be announcing a division category. We'll be starting with our youngest and moving to our oldest. So we're starting with our youngest submissions. We're in the K through 3, and our oldest were in the 9 through 12. So we'll be announcing a category. We will be starting with second place if there are, and first place afterwards. And we'll be reading some of the comments from our judges' rubrics. And we'll also be reading a introduction to the film, and we'll play the film in entirety. So with that being said, we're really excited to announce the films that will be honored at this festival. We had a panel of judges that went through every film. At least 2 judges viewed every film, and they left their scores against a rubric and some comments about the film that they watched. Every team that had a rubric filled out will also have access to those rubrics after the festival that will be mailed out to them. So you'll be able to see what the judges thought about your film and use it to improve for the future. Okay, so like I said, It always, when we're doing webinars, it's usually the first film that may suffer any AV issues, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you cannot hear the films that we are about to show. Okay, so let me go back to sharing my screen, and I'll have Cassidy. Let's see, I think I'm picture in picture right now. That's wonderful. That's fine. All right, I'll have Cassidy read the intro for K through 3, and then I will take over with some comments from the judges.
In first place for K through 3 is the film Clear as Code by the Yellow House Dragons.
Okay, wonderful. So the K through 3 division had enough submissions for us to award a first place. And so the first place, as Cassidy said, went out to Clear as Code. I do want to read a one-sentence introduction to the film as submitted by the team. So this team in our K through 3 division, they introduced this film. It's about computer programming. And so their introduction is, do you find coding complicated? Watch this film to discover how coding works, what lies ahead, and why you should help shape the future of coding. I do also want to read a few of the comments from the judging rubrics that ultimately awarded this film first place. So, from one of our judges, let's see, not only did this film illustrate did they illustrate their entire film, but they also animated it. So they had a very clear understanding of the material, and while advanced for the age group, it's still clear, and their work is based on their own understanding. All right, so we are going to watch the Clear as Code from the K through 3 division. So let me get that started. And again, I'm counting on you to let me know if you cannot hear or see this film.
Sire and Shia Siddiqui present. Programmers use programming that was
Hi all, I just got some feedback that there was no audio being shared. So I have changed the setting, and I hope this is the only film this affects. We are going to make sure that we hear the whole video. So I'm going to play it again, and please let me know if you can't hear it. All right, let's restart.
Sire and Shia Siddiqui present. Clear as Code. At the beginning, there was a Stone Age, when humans created tools to improve their ability to do more work. In that time, those simple tools represented the height of technology. Today, we live in the information age, with the computer as our primary tool, and technology's greatest discoveries are still ahead of us. So, what is a computer? In its simplest form, a computer is a machine that remembers, recalls, and processes information by following instructions. Computers only understand and follow instructions in binary code, but binary code is really long and tricky for people to understand. So, programmers use programming languages to write instructions that people can understand. A tool called a compiler changes these instructions back into binary code, which is the only language computers understand. Let's break this down. So, What is binary code? Binary means of two states, and binary code only uses two digits, 0 and 1. Computers rely on binary because the electronics naturally switch between the two states, like on and off, yes or no, or true or false. All data in a computer is a really long sequence of zeros and ones. Since writing and understanding instructions this way would be difficult and error-prone for people, programming languages were created to simplify the process. Programming languages are used to write programs. A program is a sequence of instructions that tells the computer what to do. These instructions are called code, but the computer can't understand this code directly. Remember, it can only understand binary, which is made of zeros and ones. That's when a compiler comes in. A compiler is a useful program that translates code from a programming language to binary code. Now the computer is able to understand the instructions and follow them. Aha! Clear as code. Binary code, that is. Exactly. Code needs to be very clear. Computers only do exactly what they are told, so programmers must carefully create a clear, ordered set of steps to solve a problem called an algorithm. For example, if a robot has an algorithm to walk forward, it must include a step to stop if it reaches a cliff. Otherwise, the robot could keep walking and fall off. To check that algorithms are correct, programmers often draw a flowchart to plan and visualize the program's logic. A flowchart has boxes connected by arrows, with each box showing a step in the algorithm. This helps programmers see the order of steps and plan the program before writing any code. Using a flowchart, programmers design the program flow, the order in which a computer follows instructions. Sometimes the program has a branch where it chooses between different paths. Sometimes it has a loop where it goes back and repeats steps. After planning the program flow, programmers write the program using programming languages. There are three common types. In block-based programming languages, such as Scratch Junior, programs are created by dragging and connecting blocks of code. In scripting languages, such as Python or JavaScript, programs are written by typing instructions line by line. In compiled languages, such as C++, C#, and Java, programs are also written line by line, but the computer changes them back into binary before running them. Did you know? Most programs don't run perfectly the first time. Mistakes like misspelling or missing or incorrect instructions in a program are called bugs. Fixing bugs is called debugging. Also, did you know bug meant a mistake even before computers, but in 1947 a dead moth caused a problem in the Harvard Mark II. The programmers taped the moth in the logbook, calling it the first computer bug, and that's how bug and debugging officially got their name. I love bugs, but not fixing them in programs. Programming might sound like something only programmers do, but it isn't. After all, we're living in the information age, and technology continues to grow and become more woven into our daily lives. That means there's room for everyone to learn, create, and be part of the future. So, what can you do? You can practice your coding skills. Start small and build your confidence. Think about adding coding games to your next family game night. Explore Scratch Junior or Scratch, where you can create stories, games, and animations, or build your own world using Python and Minecraft. The future of technology isn't finished, and we're all part of building it. So, what does the future of coding look like? Well, coding will be everywhere, not just in games and toys, but even in clothes and walls. That sounds awesome, but there is a challenge. If coding is everywhere, we will need to make sure people's private information stays safe. Right. Another theory of the future is that artificial intelligence will keep getting smarter. It will understand language better, spot patterns, and help solve big problems faster. This can even let scientists explore observations in new ways without starting a strict hypothesis. Again, there are challenges. AI learns from people, so it can make mistakes or be unfair. That's why we have to design and use it carefully and responsibly. Another cool idea is neuromorphic computing. This means building computers that work more like the human brain. These brain-like computers could help AI learn faster and use less energy. But this is not easy. The human brain is super complex with billions of tiny parts working together, and it's very hard to copy. Also, making new computers can create waste. So we need to find ways to recycle and protect the planet. As AI and brain-like computers grow, programmers will use new tools to write code faster and in more creative ways. But there is a risk. Most information is stored digitally. If something big happens, like a huge solar flare, data and programs could be lost. That's why we need to save and protect digital information carefully. And that's why it's important to understand and practice clear coding now. Because technology's greatest discoveries are still ahead of us.
All right. So congratulations to the Yellow House Dragons out of China, Maine for their first place in the K through 3 division. As we said before, some divisions will only have first place just due to the number of submissions. So that is our only K3 film that we are celebrating at the film festival today. So we do want to congratulate that team for their first place divisional win. The Yellow House Dragons, it's not their first win. They have previous wins from our previous season. So we do want to congratulate them for their consistent, really good film making that they have. So I hope we learned a little bit about the future of coding from that film. Okay, so I am going to let Cassidy announce the next film division, which is going to be our 4 through.
So the next division encompasses entries from 4th through 5th grade. And I am going to pass it over to Kendra to present some information about our second place winner.
Absolutely. Yes, and I'm excited to talk about our second place winner in our 4th through 5th grade category. So, as we said before, this category did have enough submissions where we could honor a second and a first place team. So the second place in the 4th through 5th division, this film had a lot of great things about it that we heard from the judges. So this team created a film that was nominated for a few awards. So we're really excited that we're able to talk about it today. So our second place in the 4 through 5 division, the intro to this film says it is an engaging video that captures the process necessary to make Mars habitable for humans. So that's what we will be learning about today. In addition to that, I wanted to read you a few comments from the judges. So one of the judges said they liked the balance that the video had in the structure of its audio and visual components. They thought it was a nice job overall, and they had lots of comments about the theories propositioned in this video. So this judge was very impressed by the detail that we went into in the theories that were presented. So I would like to play this film that won the second place in the 4 through 5 division, and we'll celebrate the title and team at the end of it. So let's learn a little bit more about Mars. And I know we had that slight audio issue in the last one. Again, just holler. I think we have it resolved. So let me
98, median 56% chance of an extinction level event by the year 2700. Median means middle. But there is a way to save us. Far, far away, there's a planet that could save humanity. So I don't want you to think, oh, terraforming Mars, blah, 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 boring. So I promise to make it interesting. So let's get started. Terraforming Mars with lasers. Lasers. Lasers! Today our most powerful laser is the Elli MP. It can produce 10 petawatts of power for 1/trillionth of a second. We need to double its power and keep it ongoing too, in order to successfully terraform Mars. Then we melt Mars. Yes, doing this makes Mars ever more terrifying, filling its skies with enormous, horrifying storms and streams of molten rock on the ground. On the good side, melting it would release more oxygen, and in the quick time it cools, it would also release steam that would make clouds that would rain down and create oceans on its surface. Molten rock is lava. Next, we import nitrogen from Titan. To do this, we need to make big factories on Titan's surface and shoot it to Mars in small capsules. Once they land, they will explode, well-ish, and release nitrogen to Mars' new and improved atmosphere. Ooh, found some. Done. But on the surface, it would still be very hard to breathe and flammable. When we add a biosphere, Mars will become much more livable. We'll just use our many powerful lasers to grind the rock into soil. Then we'll introduce volcanically thriving plants. When we populate the oceans, adding phytoplankton, then we gradually introduce zooplankton that will evolve into fish, aquatic plants, and even whales. And that will solve, well, that fire thing we had earlier. Cool graph. I'll give you a minute to look at this. Creating a magnetic field for Mars. The magnetic field for Mars doesn't need to be as big as Earth's, but it needs to work. By work, I mean it will protect Mars from solar winds and other space dangers. We could do that by making a magnetic umbrella in front of Mars. A good old superconducting ring would do the job. Or we could heavily nuke Mars. Like this. How would it help? Nuking Mars would release H2O, nitrogen, and carbon from the ground, but it would also cause serious radiation. So that's a no. Okay, so that's that. Hey, I want to be in on the fun. Boom. Take that, Venus. Here are some random Mars facts. Mars has 2 moons. Mars is named after the Roman god of war. Mars has an orbital period of 1.8 Earth years. The diameter of Mars is 4,220 miles. I want to see how many of you recognize the slide is reused. And citations. Take a look. And who doesn't love a good old photo gallery? It's just never gonna end. Thank you. This was an Oliver Pregosmi production. It's really nice to make a STEM video for you all again. See you next time. Credits: Director, Oliver Pregosmi. Producer, Oliver Pregosmi. Editor, Oliver Pregosmi. Makeup and costume, Oliver Pregosmi. Basically everything, Oliver Pregosmi.
All right. So I hope you learned a little bit more about what it would look like to terraform Mars with the goal of making it more habitable in the future to suit humans. So I do want to congratulate Oliver Pugazmi from Greeley Middle School for winning 2nd place in the 4th through 5th division. So fantastic job overall. and I'm really excited to see it. Okay, so moving on, that leads us to our first placed winner in the 4th through 5th division. So what I would like to say about that. So this film had some really interesting concepts that were explored, and the judges agreed as well. So I'm looking at my judging rubrics. So what I'd like to say about this film is that it did a wonderful job tying in creative and compelling storytelling with interesting and accurate facts. So it also had a lot of creative visual elements like hand-drawn diagrams and stop-motion demonstrations. It also had some original hypotheses and discussion of results. So I'd also like to read to you what this team wrote to you about their film. All right, so this team, let's see, they said, after discovering the phrase reverse osmosis on a water bottle, a student convinces her class to investigate osmosis and how it is used in the real world. So we will be watching this film, 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is the first place winner for the 4th through.
I was sitting in my basement bored and reading my water bottle. On the back it read purified by reverse osmosis. I started to wonder what osmosis was in the first place, so I looked it up. The Google definition was the net movement of water over a semi-permeable membrane from an area of higher water concentration to an area of lower water concentration. I didn't know what any of that was, so I researched further. I learned that the semi-permeable membrane is like a little wall with tiny holes so that water molecules can fit in, but larger molecules like salt cannot. It took me days just to write notes. When I had enough information, I made a presentation, took it to school, and showed my enrichment teacher. This started the idea for the whole film project. What is osmosis? Let's pretend that we have our semi-permeable membrane. We need to have 2 jars pictured in our heads. Now put them together, connecting the tops. In the middle, instead of lids, we put our membranes right there and throw away those lids. Now, put water in both jars with something like salt molecules inside one and purified water in the other. The membrane only lets water molecules through. The water molecules gradually go through the membrane, diluting the amount of salt-sized molecules on the other side. Finally, the water on the salty side is now higher. To understand osmosis better, picture a U-tube with pure water on both sides and a semi-permeable membrane in the middle. If we add salt molecules, which are too big to go through the semi-permeable membrane on the left side, the water will gradually rise, trying to make the water-to-salt ratio even. The overall effect is that the water on the left side of the U-tube has risen. A hypertonic solution has higher concentration of salt-sized molecules. An isotonic solution has an equal concentration of salt-sized molecules, and a hypotonic solution has lower concentration of salt-sized molecules. In osmosis, water moves from a hypotonic side to the hypertonic side. Gummy bear experiment. We did an experiment with gummy bears to see what osmosis looks like in hypertonic, hypotonic, and isotonic solutions. Hypotheses. 1. If we put a gummy bear in a hypertonic solution, it'll get bigger and weigh less. 2. If we put a gummy bear in a hypotonic solution, it'll be almost exactly the same and weigh more. 3. If we put a gummy bear in an isotonic solution, it will be exactly the same size and weigh almost exactly the same. Procedure. Materials. 4 jars, 4 tablespoons of salt, water, enough to fill all 4 jars gummy bears. The first thing we did was get 4 jars. Fill one with water and half a tablespoon of salt, one with water and 1.5 tablespoons of salt, and the last one with water and 2 tablespoons of salt. Then we put a gummy bear in each jar and waited 18 hours and 45 minutes. Maiden observations. The original weight of the gummy bear was 2 grams. The original length was 2.2 centimeters. When we weighed and measured the gummy bears after they soaked overnight, most of them had changed weight and length. Analysis. The gummy bear experiment taught us that when something is put in a hypotonic solution, it gets bigger because the water moves into it. When it's put in a hypertonic solution, it gets smaller because the water moves out of it. They help us understand osmosis by giving us a physical representation, allowing us to see osmosis in action. Osmosis in the real world.
Reverse osmosis is when you force water through a semipermeable membrane. The clean water goes through, the unwanted materials stay inside the filter.
To explain reverse osmosis, we have to remember our previous setup, with salt molecules on the left of the U-tube, pure water on the right, and a semipermeable membrane dividing them. If we apply pressure on the left, pushing the water molecules through the semipermeable membrane but trapping the salt molecules, we get all pure water on the right, ready for drinking.
Examples in the real world. Water purification is basically reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is when you push the unwanted things through a filter and out of the water. Reverse osmosis in maple syrup. Maple syrup is a yummy thing to put on your pancakes, waffles, or French toast. But it is not an easy process. It takes 44 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup. Using reverse osmosis to take some of the water out before boiling the sap can make the process easier.
Desalination is taking salt water and making fresh water. Reverse osmosis is an efficient way to do this. It is important because many people die or get sick if they did not have fresh water. Ways living things use osmosis. Watering plants. The roots soak up water through osmosis. Showers and baths. Your skin soaks up the water and becomes wrinkly. From this project, we have learned that osmosis is important because it helps us make fresh, purified water, and it contributes to how all living things operate. In conclusion, we thank Quinn for reading the back of her water bottle and taking us on this learning journey through osmosis.
All right. So congratulations to the first place winner of the 4 through 5 division. That was Fayette Central School. So that was we loved the video. I think it was fantastic. There was some extra kudos to a lot of the types of filmmaking techniques that they used. Okay. And so one thing I do want to say before we move on from the 4 through 5 division is that while we only celebrate the first and second place when it comes to the rubrics, I do want to give you a little insight on how the rubrics work. So the max amount of points, because we go by points, that a team can get is 200 points. So that is if one judge scores 100 points and the second judge also scores 100 points. I do want to say that all of our 4 through 5 division entries were within 30 points of each other. So it was quite a tight race for my 4 through 5 films. So I do want to take a second and say congratulations to all the films in this category because they were all very high quality and really enjoyable to watch. And so the ones that were first and second won by 4 points and the other one by 10 points. So very, very close race. Okay, so let's move on.
The next category that we are going to acknowledge is the 6th grade through 8th grade division.
All right, wonderful. So This is our third division category that we'll be celebrating today, our 6th through 8th grade. Typically, this division has the most submissions out of any of the other categories, and that was true this year as well. And so this division had a lot of different films across many different topics, a lot of them exploring natural science, medical science, and many things in between. So just like before, we'll be starting with our second place winner. So in this category, I do want to read you a little bit about what our second place winner had on their rubric. So our second place for the 6th through 8th division, one of our judges said that they thought you did a really good job talking about this subject that we're about to explore. I don't want to give it away. Certainly you could write a book on the topic. They also thought that the images and rotating graphics and text were really well done. So overall, a very solid film. Okay, I would also like to read you a little bit about what the team has to say about their project. So in their 1 to 2 sentence introduction to the film, they say, this film answers the question, where do poison dart frogs get their poison? So we'll be learning a little bit about poison dart frogs. All right, so I hope we learned a lot about poison dart frogs. So congratulations to Elli Welliver from the Greeley Middle School for the second place in the 6 through 8 division. So I do want to make a comment too. I always find it interesting. So in our rules, our films can be any form of multimedia production. So that can be any combination of different media in order to create a production. So that means it cannot just be visuals and it cannot just be audio. And so this film did combine multiple types of media. It did not choose to include a narration, but that's okay too. So they were able to achieve what they were trying to convey without narration. And our judges really appreciated the content side of the film as well. Okay, so let's move on to the first place in the 6 through 8 division. So the first place in the 6 through 8 division. So let's read a little bit about what the judges had to say about their film. So this film did a great job organizing ideas and relaying interesting facts about the topic of the film. And they thought that the overall quality of the film was also great. Another judge said, I think you did a very great job, and I hope you come back next year. So, and let's hear what the actual team had to say about their project as well. So, from the first place 6 through 8, they said this film is a detailed look into the human body's defense system. All right, so we're gonna watch this video, which is at the 3-minute mark, just barely. If in case you did not know, our films have to be 3 minutes at the shortest and 10 minutes at the longest. So this is a short and sweet first place winner for the 6 through.
How Does the Immune System Fight Viral Infections by Kate Quirk. First, about the virus. Viruses can only produce in your cells, so that's what they do. A virus will invade your body, make its way into your cells, and multiply. This would overtake your body, so civilian cells alert your defenses. They produce cytokines, which alerts the immune system. An entire process occurs, what most of this video is about, and if all goes well, the virus is wiped out, and your immune cells will remember it for next time. However, before we dive into the world of your immune system, we must first ask, what is immunology? Well, immunology is the study of the immune system. Your immune system is an army of cells that defend you. They kill germs called pathogens. A pathogen is really anything that harms you, so not all germs are pathogens, and vice versa. The immune system includes organs that train, store, and send immune cells. These include the thymus, the tonsils, the spleen, hundreds of lymph nodes, and the many lymph vessels to connect the organs. The cells in your immune system are split into 2 groups, the innate immune system with macrophages, neutrophils, mucous membrane, and skin, and the adaptive with dendritic cells, B cells, and T cells. The biggest difference between the 2 groups is that the innate immune system can respond to any threat without any time lost. The adaptive immune system takes longer to activate, but it identifies the pathogen and uses the virus' strengths and weaknesses to destroy it. The most important players of the innate immune system are macrophages, which consume, break down, eat, and spit out pathogens, neutrophils, which use their own DNA as a net, then can keep fighting, and natural killer cells, which do exactly that, kill pathogens and cancer cells. The most important players of the adaptive immune system are dendritic cells, which collect info and then activate the following important cells: B cells, which produce antibodies, T cells, which attack and kill pathogens and reactivate tired cells. All of the cells in the adaptive immune system become memory cells. That means that they know the exact details of the pathogen they just fought, and if it enters your body, they immediately attack along with the innate immune system, without being selected or activated. Attack and kill as many pathogens as possible with macrophages and neutrophils. 2. Collect material with dendritic cells. 3. Alert the innate immune system and find the correct cell. 4. Reactivate cells and help them destroy the viruses with B and T cells. 5. Kill infected cells with natural killer cells. That's it for this video. Bye!
All right. So we just learned a lot about immunology, and that was our first place, 6th through 8th division winner. So I do want to say congratulations to Kate Quirk from Greeley Middle School. Greeley Middle School is sweeping a lot of our award sections this year. So congratulations to you. Fantastic job with that film. Okay. And as a reminder, as we're approaching near the end of the hour, we may go a little bit over the hour as we do need to watch our second and first place 9 through 12 division winners, as well as announce which films received non-divisional awards. So we will move right along into our 9 through 12 division. Cassidy, anything you'd like to say about our 9 through 12 division?
So this year, our 9 through 12 division is the oldest division that was competed in. This is the high school freshman through high school senior group. And this year was another fantastic year for this group. Let's move right along to our second place, some comments and what they have to say about their film.
Thank you, Cassidy. So this team that got second place, it was actually wonderful to read the comments from our judges. So one of the judges said it was a very enjoyable film about an interesting topic. It really excelled in how it presented facts, it anticipated and posed common questions, and explained complex topics in a way that anyone could understand. They also thought that the infographics were presented smoothly over the film in a seamless presentation. All right, so that was the judges, but what does the team say about the film? So the team says that this film, it is an educational film about the Great Unconformity, a global mystery in which billions of years of rocks are missing worldwide. So in our next film, we'll be watching a film that talks about the Great Unconformity. This film is 6 minutes and 13 seconds long. So let's switch to that, and I'm excited.
Hello, my name is Maisie.
Ana اسمي ملاك.
And let's talk about the Great Unconformity.
As you can see behind me, some places have stripes in the rock known as metamorphic layers. The layers of rock can tell us many things about the Earth at that time. It can tell us about the environment of the time, the climate, and natural disasters. As you can imagine, it would be detrimental if those chapters of our Earth went missing. Well, that's what the Great Conformity is. Most visible in the Grand Canyon due to its depth. A global mystery takes place. Billions of years of rock are missing without a trace. The amount of rock missing is equivalent to over 30% of Earth's history, roughly 1.5 billion years. During this time, many global events occurred, like Snowball Earth and the Cambrian explosion.
The Cambrian explosion was one of the greatest events in global history. Small bacteria were able to develop into creatures which are more similar to what we see today, with fins, eyes, and bones. It happened relatively quickly, so how it occurred is still a bit of a mystery.
Snowball Earth was a time in Earth's history where the entire planet was covered in ice. There were major glaciers occurring. This is one of the main ties to the hypothesis made about the Great Unconformity by scientists. Well, did the set of the rocks just poof out of thin air? Of course not. We have gathered some knowledge on the past of the Great Unconformity. For instance, the Great Unconformity is an umbrella term, encompassing the Great Non-Conformity and the Great Angular Unconformity. Macy will tell you more about that.
If you take a look at this diagram, you will see three main colors of rock. Each color of rock represents a different part of the Grand Canyon, split by the two unconformities. At the bottom of the three is the Vishnu Basement rocks in gray. This is a group of igneous rocks from around 1.75 billion years ago, and they're the oldest rocks in the canyon. They were formed deep in the crust by continental collisions that eventually formed North America. If you look up, you will see the rocks shift to orange after they pass a white line, known as the Great Non-Conformity. The Great Nonconformity represents a time of 500 million years where there were no sediments deposited and there was erosion of pre-existing rocks. This means no rocks were formed to that time, leading to a gap of 500 million years. After that gap, the orange rocks appear. These are called the Grand Canyon supergroup. This supergroup is a group of diverse sedimentary rocks from the Precambrian era, aka 1.2 billion years ago. After that, you will see a group of blue rocks that are shifted upwards in comparison to how the other rocks are at an angle. Those rocks separated from the others by a red line. The red line represents the Great Angular Unconformity. The Great Angular Unconformity is another period of 500 million years when the rock is missing. In comparison to the Great Nonconformity, this is much more visible due to the shift in angle and being much higher above the ground.
Why is this significant? As stated before, the rocks are records of our Earth's history. The missing rocks would have given us information on very significant points in our history, like the Cambrian evolution. If we had the knowledge on those events, as well as many others in our evolutionary history, we would be able to advance science significantly and learn about the biology of ourselves and other species. We would also have our knowledge furthered on our ecosystems and environment, because the time missing during ice ages and environmental events we don't know much about.
What are some ideas scientists have for the reason that this might have happened? Luckily, scientists have been busy creating hypotheses. The main event that is the base for most of these scientific hypotheses is the snowball Earth, which you might recall from earlier. It is hypothesized that the snowball Earth removed the rocks around 720 to 360 million years ago through mass erosion from the ice. This ties to the quick development of organisms because it is also hypothesized that the snowball Earth ice was responsible for their big shift in development. However, this theory is one that some scientists disagree with because the time frame does not line up with that of the global unconformities. Another popular hypothesis connecting it with the supercontinents that developed in the past, such as Rodinia and Pangaea. The formation and destruction cycle of the supercontinent Rodinia eroded layers in the rock over a very long period of time, 1 billion years. Because a supercontinent involves all the rock in the world, erosion over one supercontinent would be all of the land on Earth today.
This might worry you because you may be thinking we have lost this piece forever. Well, don't worry. We have other ways of learning about what happened during that time. For example, we can use the layers around the missing gap in the rock to tell us about changes that might have happened. If the rock becomes metamorphic, similar to the rocks behind me, after the unconformity, it can be inferred an event that caused high levels of heat occurred during that time. Scientists can also use the ratio of helium and other elements in the rocks as a paleothermometer. This is a tool that provides the temperature of Earth in a given time in the past. This method helps gather data about the rock's movement in the crust as it was buried and eroded over time.
In conclusion, the Great Unconformity is a series of events that happened billions of years ago, erasing millions of years of history from Earth's records. Reasons for this happening include snowball Earth and erosion of supercontinents like Rodinia and Pangaea. You might worry that this means that all of that history is lost, but scientists have figured out other ways to tell what happened during those years, including using paleothermometers and looking at the other rocks to make inferences about what happened during that time.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.
And finally, my clapping in sign language is thematic.
Wonderful. Yes. So that was the Great Unconformity. So I do want to congratulate Team M&Ms from the Yarmouth Schools Department on winning second place in the 9th through 12th division. So congratulations on that fantastic film. Okay. So folks, we are now going to be viewing the last film, the first place in the 9th through 12th division. And it's the last film in our divisional awards. So after this film, we'll be moving into the non-division awards. So we'll be awarding 3 additional awards to films that fulfilled excellence in certain parts of the film that we evaluate. So I do want to tell you a little bit about this next film that we were watching. Again, this was first place in the 9th through 12th division. So one of our judges said that this film did a fantastic job exploring multiple different avenues that one can take when researching this topic. They also believe that it had artistic merit, especially in the title card, the introduction sequence, and the credit animation. They appreciated how much research was included in this film. Another judge said it was a pleasure to watch and an overall excellent presentation on the topic. Now from the team themselves, so their 1 to 2 cents introduction to their film is, this film explores the science of bioluminescence, how living organisms create light. It also reveals how this natural light is transforming modern medicine and how scientists are developing glowing trees that could one day provide sustainable energy-saving illumination for our world. So I will pull up this film, and this is our first place in the 9th through 12th division. And
In the darkest corners of our world, light blooms without wires, batteries, or bulbs. From glowing plankton that make ocean waves sparkle to fireflies flashing secret codes on warm summer nights, this is bioluminescence. A living light, older than humanity itself, more efficient than our brightest LED lamps. It may also be the key to lighting our future. Bioluminescence is light made by living things, through a special chemical reaction between a molecule called luciferin, an enzyme called luciferase, and oxygen. When they meet, energy is released, not as heat but as pure light. That's why fireflies don't burn up when they glow. Bioluminescence is 100% energy efficient, compared to about 10% for a regular light bulb. And unlike fluorescence, which needs sunlight or UV light to glow, bioluminescence shines on its own, even in total darkness. Why does nature glow? Light serves many roles. Some creatures use it to hunt, like the female anglerfish, which dangles a glowing lure to attract prey. Others use it to defend themselves. Squids eject glowing ink to confuse predators, and tiny plankton light up when disturbed, acting like a burglar alarm that calls in bigger predators to chase off attackers. And some use it to hide. Deep-sea fish glow on their undersides to match faint sunlight from above, blending perfectly into the background. While most bioluminescence happens underwater, some land creatures glow too. As mentioned before, fireflies are the stars of summer nights, each species with its own unique flashing code. In caves of New Zealand, glowworms create starry ceilings that lure insects into sticky silk traps. Certain fungi, like Panellus stypticus, glow softly in forests, attracting insects that help spread their spores. In North Carolina, a species of glowworm discovered in 2019 produced the bluest bioluminescence of any known insect on Earth. Who knows how many more creatures have yet to be discovered? Bioluminescence can also help in medicine. Today, scientists mostly use bioluminescence in labs to study diseases in animals like mice. They can add the glow system to certain cells. When those cells light up, researchers can see what's happening inside a living body using special cameras. This helps scientists study cancer by watching tumors grow or shrink in real time. They can also test new medicines. If the glowing cells change, they know the medicine is working or not. They can track infections by observing glowing bacteria to help researchers see how infections spread. Why is this important? Bioluminescence lets scientists look inside living bodies without surgery. It helps them understand diseases better, develop new treatments faster, and see how drugs move and work inside the body. But what are the challenges? The glow isn't always easy to see deep inside the body, and the technology still needs improvement before it's widely used in people. What's next with these methods? In the future, bioluminescence could help doctors personalize treatments for each patient, monitor diseases like cancer in real time, and combine glowing imaging with tools like MRI for even better results. Scientists at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, along with researchers at other universities around the world, are working on an exciting idea: creating plants and trees that can glow in the dark. At MIT, engineers have found ways to place tiny particles inside plant leaves. These particles can absorb light energy and slowly release it as a soft glow. It's a little like how glow-in-the-dark stickers work after you shine a light on them. Other scientists are taking a different approach by adding special glowing genes from naturally bioluminescent organisms like fungi directly into plant cells. This allows the plants to produce their own light. Light Bio is a company in Wisconsin that figured out how to make glowing plants in a simpler and cheaper way. They used a special glowing gene from a mushroom and added it to petunia flowers. They sell these glowing flowers called firefly petunias. You can actually buy them online right now. During the day, they look like normal flowers, but at night, their leaves glow softly like fireflies. The glow is connected to how the plant uses energy, so scientists can also learn how the plant works by watching it light up. One big goal is to create new kinds of natural lighting. Imagine trees that glow softly along sidewalks or plants that light up a room without using electricity. Because plants use sunlight for energy, glowing plants could someday help reduce electricity use and pollution. Researchers also hope their work will teach us more about how plants function and how to safely combine biology with new technology. Right now, glowing plants are still being tested in laboratories. But in the future, they could change the way we think about lighting, energy, and even city design. As we look to the future, bioluminescence holds incredible promise. From glowing plants and trees that could inspire sustainable design to groundbreaking medical advances that use light to detect, monitor, and even treat disease. This technology shows us how nature's brilliance can guide innovation in powerful and responsible ways. Yet at the same time, we must remember that natural bioluminescent species like fireflies are already struggling, in part because of increasing light pollution that disrupts their mating signals and survival. As we stand on the edge of glowing forests and life-saving medical innovations, we must choose to move forward with wisdom, protecting the fragile firefly signals that still flicker in the dark. The future of light is in our hands. May we use it to illuminate, not overwhelm, the natural world.
All right. And that was our first place winner in the 9th through 12th division. So that was from Northside Homeschool, also not an unfamiliar name in this competition, who has won first and second place awards in the past. So congratulations to Northside Homeschool for a very enjoyable film. That was just over 6 minutes long. So thank you very much for your submission. Okay, I did see someone raise their hand. You can talk to us in the webinar chat if you have any questions or you want to let us know anything. You can use that webinar chat. Okay, so we are now moving on to, and I will share my screen, our non-division awards. So these are not new for the competition, but the way that they are being done this year is new. So in the past, we had most creatively presented film award, and we had an accessibility award. This year, we expanded our categories. So we have the accessibility and creatively presented films, but we've also added content and research excellence and inclusivity. So our rubrics, and I hope all teams have reviewed the rubrics to be familiar with this. Our rubrics are based on 4 major categories of achievement. Now, 40% of your score goes towards how well you succeed in your content, the storytelling, the research, that basically the script of the film, the meat, the topic, things like that. Another 40% goes to the artistic merit of the film, the quality of the video, the quality of the audio, creativity. The other two categories represent 10% each, which is accessibility, efforts to make your film accessible to multiple types of audiences, and inclusivity, where you consider how your film represents different ideas, perspectives, and makes efforts to be understandable and appealing to multiple different types of audiences. So those are the four, they now represent the four rubric categories. A new thing this year as well is in the past, these were awarded to films that did not place in our divisional categories. And so it was the next highest film that did not receive first or second place, which is wonderful to distribute our awards. And this challenge, this year it has changed. This year we had our judges nominate films for these awards as they were grading their rubrics. So after they watched films and they filled out the rubrics, our judges would nominate films for one or two of these four categories. And so the result of that is these films that are receiving awards, some of them will be dual award winners. These films may have received a first or second place, as well as a non-division award. Because this is our first year of a few of these awards, not every award was assigned this year. So 3 out of our 4 awards were assigned, and those 3 were content, which got the most nominations, our Content and Research Excellence Award. After that, we had nominations for the most creatively presented film, and then we also had nominations for accessibility. So because the films that are receiving awards in this category may be films that we already saw, if that is the case, because we don't actually know the winners at this point, we are opening cards. So if that is the case, where we have already seen the film, we will move on and announce further non-division award winners. Okay, so with that being said, Cassie, I believe you are the one who is holding the cards that have the winners on them. Is that correct? Yes, fantastic.
Yes,
all right. So the way that we're going to have this work is I will advance to the next category. You can announce the winner and I will pull up the comments from the judges. Okay, so let's move to our next non-division award. So we are starting with the most creatively presented film award. Now this is one that has existed in the past. So this is, and you can think of it as a film that excelled in the artistic portion of their rubric. So one that had cohesive, non-distracting, and creative visuals, audio, and other creative elements to their film. So Cassie, what film did our judges nominate for this non-division award?
For the 2026 Maine STEM Film Challenge, Most Creatively Presented Film Award goes to The Biolum Project by Northside Homeschool.
All right, congratulations.
Our nominating judges had to say.
Yes, congratulations to Northside Homeschool. So like I said, this is a situation where we have seen this film and they have already won a divisional award. But that being said, there's reasons that they win divisional awards, and partially it's because of excelling in these topics. So our judges believed that this film excelled in the artistic portion for a few reasons. Namely, it was to do with the introductory sequence that used really creative means of using stock film, and then also hand-drawn animation and very helpful informative graphics. So that is Northside Homeschool won the most creatively presented film award. So congratulations. Okay, we're going to move on to our next non-division award, which is the Accessibility Award. So Cassie, actually, first let me tell you about this. The Accessibility Award. So we expanded on what it means to be an accessible film this year. There's a lot of ways that films can be accessible. And primarily what we look for is films and teams to tell us how they made their film accessible. And there's lots of different ways for them to do this. This can be captioning, it can be ASL interpretation, it can be choosing to use accessible color combinations for those that have color blindness or have blind low vision. So there's multiple different ways to make your film accessible. So Cassidy in front of her has the team that won the Accessibility Award.
The 2026 Maine STEM Film Challenge Accessibility Award goes to The Great Unconformity by the M&Ms.
All right, fantastic, thank you. All right, so this team also won second place in the 9th through 12th division. So congratulations on that. So our judges believe that this film excelled in their accessibility for a few reasons. Primarily, it was having clear and accurate captioning that was not auto-generated. It was very accurate and well-paced and easy to see. They also believe that the film did a wonderful job of taking complex topics and making them easy to understand for multiple audiences. Great, fantastic. So that is why that film got the Accessibility Award. All right, so like I said, we're awarding 3 of these awards today. We did not receive any nominations for the Inclusivity Award, but we did for the Content and Research Excellence Award. So we will move on to that one. All right, so Content and Research Excellence. So this is an award that we were really excited to add this year because we do see films put in a lot of effort into either doing their own research. That could be recreating experiments, that could be talking to experts in the field, collecting their own data. And so that is something that was not accurately reflected in the rubric, or there was no way to celebrate that kind of above and beyond in the rubric. It would fall under the content score, but lots of things can give you a good content score. So this award is for films that really went above and beyond in the content part of their film, especially when it comes to research. So Cassidy, can you tell me what team won the Content and Research Excellence?
The 2026 Maine STEM Film Challenge Content and Research Excellence Award goes to Osmosis by Fayette Central School.
All right, fantastic. And so Osmosis, yes, so Osmosis was also a division award winner. So Osmosis already also got first place in the 4 through 5 division. So congratulations for that. So I'm going to look at what the judges said for Osmosis and why Osmosis was excellent in the content and research portion. So this film did a really good job of showing how science concepts can be found in our everyday life. They also did a reproducible experiment using gummy bears. That was a great example of how those watching can participate in science themselves at home. So that was a fantastic job for our 4th through 5th team. So that was Osmosis. So congratulations to Fayette Central School for their Osmosis contribution. All right. I believe, let's see. Beyond that, those were all of the awards that we wanted to announce today. So we're just going to take a few minutes to wrap up and we'll be stopping just a moment. So I do want to take a second and say thank you to everyone who participated this year. I was one of the judges among many others, and so it was wonderful for me to see some of the films. I saw some new ones today that I hadn't seen before, and it was a pleasure to watch all of them. And I do appreciate all the effort that goes into creating these films.